Well, good afternoon, everybody. We've got some interesting stuff to talk about. Apparently, the answer to 1984 is indeed 1776. So I guess Alex Jones got that right. Plus, we'll be talking about a new autonomous zone in Minneapolis, because that doesn't sound like a disaster at all, and settlement of the Breonna Taylor case. So let's get to it. My name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and I got nothing. Let's just get on with it.
Indeed. Welcome, folks, to episode 96 of Micah and The Hatman on politics. So to make it even more confusing...
God bless, we're on 96.
Huh? Oh, yeah. We're almost at episode 100 of bringing the podcast over to this channel.
So we gotta have some kind of a 100th episode celebration, right?
Something like that.
Okay.
But
okay, I'm down.
But anyway, to make things even more confusing, we're both wearing glasses today, and we're both wearing hats.
Yeah.
So
yes, we are.
It's a theme or something. The only thing is, Hatman has sleeves and I do not.
Yeah, well, you're the originator of the sleeveless brand, so
This is true. I'm also wearing my racist hamburger shirt, just to piss people off. Good lord.
Racist hamburger.
I know, right? Oh, why am I so quiet? That's why I'm so quiet. My microphone was like way up there. All right, folks. So let's go ahead and get this ball rolling today. So, the 1776 project, announced by Donald Trump. Obviously, the Department of Education under Betsy DeVos will be taking the lead on this one. Wouldn't surprise me if this was her idea, which means once again Micah was right. I'm gonna keep drilling that in on you, but as it stands, Hatman, give us the details on exactly what this is.
So this is basically a sort of counter project to what 1619 is trying to do in schools. This is to teach patriotism and the history of the United States as written, instead of he name dropped Howard Zinn's A People's History of the United States. And yes, that was actually part of my U.S. history class in high school. So I would be very pleased to see that shit go by the wayside. But yeah, it's trying to counter this this new leftist revisionism of history, U.S. history at the very least, with something more palatable, I guess I could say. My chief concern, though, is that it would turn into counter propaganda. And here's the thing. You don't fight propaganda, which is what 1619 is, with more propaganda. You just don't. You fight it with truth. And if that's what this 1776 project is going to be, then I'm all for it, absolutely. But so far, I'm a little bit nervous just because of that.
I think that's an understandable worry, because I think that there is a distinctive difference between patriotism and jingoism.
Yes, absolutely.
In the same way that there is a difference between... Well, I used to call it's like there's nationalism and then there's blind nationalism. Blind nationalism is basically jingoism. Like, my country, right or wrong, is a bad attitude to take. The servant of God throws in a buck and he says, fun fact, Alex Jones heard that line first from an older man when he was at a Bilderberg protest. Well, it's
interesting.
Even though it's on InfoWars, I think that it's a statement, it's a slogan you can get behind. Is that the freedoms that are outlined within the Constitution are a true counter to tyranny. That was what they're engineered
absolutely.
for. So and Hank Hill actually puts it in the chat very good. He says jingoism is patriotism's evil twin.
Yeah.
That's a very succinct way
That's,
to put.
yeah,
So
very, very
thank
good
you
way
to
to put
Hank
it.
Hill. Um, I'll tell you what, Bobby. But that was a terrible impression. But anyway, here's my take on this. You and I have been saying ever since we were discussing like Common Core and things like that in
Hmm.
schools around the time that Trump got elected. In fact, which would have been around the time that the podcast. Well, the podcast started in 17, I think. 16, 17. It was an election year.
Uh, I
But
think it was 16 because
yeah.
I think we did the election special.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, cuz I was working at that car dealership at the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, the the thing that I have noticed is that the one thing that we have said more than anything is that civics needs to be taught in every school, and it needs to be
Yep.
something you have to pass to graduate.
Yes, absolutely. Because Jesus Christ, with all the hot takes, the wonderful hot takes about how terrible this Senate is and how it's very undemocratic on Twitter, clearly people did not take a damn civics class.
Yeah, exactly. And that is something that I really feel is what needs to happen. And from what I have seen of how this is described, it is, you know, it's needed.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I always thought Jordan Peterson made a really good point, and I brought this up when I was on Crossfire on RT, is that why are we funding revolutionaries?
Yeah.
You know, and then I did another article on RT later on after I was on there where I basically said that the United States should have zero interest in teaching anything that demeans the value of its core principles and its foundations. Because to do that, to teach these things, it's basically like trying to convince yourself to commit suicide. But the reason that the people who teach these
Yeah,
things
almost.
teach them is because they want to be those revolutionaries. They want, their great leap forward in a sense.
Yeah.
And because
Yeah.
again, the common thing that we see a lot of these people that they are students of Marx. So that is what they are looking for. They're looking for that utopia. But being that we fought supposed utopian nations in actual wars, both hot and cold, we know we as Americans should always remind ourselves not just what our foundations are, but that our foundations led us to do battle against those who believe the opposite.
Yeah.
Because whether it was the fascists or the communists, it's the same authoritarian shit that is an enemy to our freedom. And that
Yeah.
that is that is ultimately something that a lot of people don't seem to really understand, is that a lot of battles are based on ideals. The things that you believe. Do you believe in freedom or do you believe in authoritarianism?
Hmm.
And we as Americans, not only do we believe in freedom, it's core to everything that we do. So when it comes right down to it, we find ourselves in a position where we as a nation have to take steps to make sure that people do understand why we are the way that we are and the
Yeah.
foundations of it. It's part of the just to kind of um, reinforce this before we move on to the next topic. It's the same reason that whenever you're in boxing, the one thing you should drill every single day is the jab. Jab, 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 because everything comes off the jab. That is your foundation, your fundamentals. If you forget the fundamentals, everything else that you learn afterwards will be worthless because you have nothing to fall back on when the chips are down.
Hmm.
So, all right. Real quick before we go on to the next subject, you're probably wondering, Micah, what the heck is a super secret stream? Well, let me just say this. There has been a certain type of stream that people have wanted me to do that would require me to do a multi-camera setup in this apartment. And I would be willing to do it if we hit that goal. I will take time out of my current schedule to make that particular stream happen. I'm not going to specify what it is. I'm going to let people think, what could this be?
It's not going to be a shirtless stream, is it?
No. But
okay, good, because I was going to say I know that one is one of them that's been requested before.
Yeah, but that's just from the girls. But when it comes, but
and very strange men.
And very well, yeah. Well, we've got some gay dudes in the audience, which whatever.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about them. I was just talking about the weirdos.
Fair enough. But anyway, we will do that for you guys. Well, I will do it specifically because it's something that's been requested of me. So it's don't worry, it's nothing sexual, but we got to get to the goal for me to do it. So,
yeah, no, it's not an OnlyFans stream.
No,
don't worry.
No, nothing like that. So. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So, sedition for Antifa. So this is an interesting thing. So,
it's happening.
The Attorney General Art Barr has brought up the idea.
Bill Barr.
Art Barr. Why do I think Art Barr?
I don't know. What kind of art bars are you going to?
Maybe I thought Aardvark? I don't know. Anyway, Bill Barr. Okay. Bill Barr has actually suggested, as the investigations on Antifa members continue, and charges on top of that. Oh, Daniel Garza's here. Haven't seen him in a bit. Hey, how's it going, Daniel? Anyway, he has been pressing for members of Antifa to be charged with sedition. And I found that kind of interesting following the hearing that the House had on Antifa specifically, if I recall correctly. And whether or not they are, in fact, a terrorist organization. So, Hatman, what do you... I mean, you are on this show... I would say you are the closest person I know to being not on the left that is an expert on what Antifa actually believes.
Yeah.
So I will let you take the floor, partner. What do you think about this?
An Antifa expert. Well, I just hope that doesn't mean I get targeted for investigation. But seriously, well then again, funding terrorism. But enough about my attempted crimes. So I think this is what needs to happen. This is extreme, but it demonstrates a fundamental understanding of what Antifa seeks to do. Because as I continue to tell people on Twitter, Antifa is not just anti-fascist. It is not shorthand for anti-fascist. It's not the default position that everyone finds themselves in. It's not you are Antifa or you are evil. Stop using the feminism argument, for fuck's sake. Antifa explicitly and historically has been about a socialist, revolutionary alternative to capitalism, which they believe is the wellspring for fascism. In order to stop fascism, you have to stop capitalism, which is why all these Antifa affiliates are always anti-capitalist, and why you will never see a conservative be part of Antifa or be associated with them at all. Any kind of anti-fascist march? No, you're not going to see any conservatives there. It's not because conservatives are fascist. It's because they're not welcome there. You have to hold certain other beliefs in order to be that. And with a socialist revolution, what does that entail? Violence with state forces, because you're going to have to overthrow the fucking government? Not to mention, the economic system. You will have to overthrow everything.
Yeah.
Build from scratch. That's the goal. That's the end goal. It's detailed in the anti-fascist handbook. Fucking you go on Twitter and you look up anyone associated with Antifa, and yes, that is their end goal, revolution. I mean, 9 times out of 10 nowadays they're anarchists or anarcho-syndicalists, whatever the hell. It's still anarchists. Anyway, bringing sedition charges against them is a smart move, not just because of the obvious, what I just detailed there, but also because it hits at defund the police as well. It hits at defund the police because, contrary to what they like to say, it's about dismantling the cops, not defunding, not stripping them of funding. And as Minneapolis is finding out, that's a bad fucking idea. This is one short of a treason charge, and to be perfectly honest, I kind of want to see the treason charge before sedition, but fuck it. I'll go with sedition, and maybe this will be the wake-up call that the general public needs to understand just what the hell Antifa stands for, like truly stands for, instead of this nonsensical, oh, well, we just want to stop the Trump-Pence regime. No, don't think so.
Yeah. Real quick, Chaos Sonic throws in a buck, says, heaven forbid that it's a porn stream. No, I'm not going to do that either.
No.
I have no desire to get kicked off of YouTube. So, according to Find Law, which is an okay website for this sort of thing, from what they say here is the federal law against seditious conspiracy can be found in Title 18 of the U.S. Code, which includes treason, rebellion, and similar offenses. According to the statutory definition of sedition, it is a crime for two or more people within the jurisdiction of the United States to conspire to overthrow or destroy by force the government of the United States or level war against them, to oppose the force of authority within the United States government, to prevent, hinder, or delay the force of execution of any law of the United States, or to take, seize, or possess or by force any property of the United States contrary to the authority thereof. So, and it is punishable by up to 20 years in prison.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And a lot of people who have been charged with it were, oddly enough, Puerto Rican nationalists who were trying to overthrow the United States. So, and then the last charges that it was put was back during the Obama years. 9 members of a militia group called the Hootery, spanning Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana, were charged with seditious conspiracy, and they were acquitted in 2012 due to insufficient evidence. So, Chaos Sonic throws in a bucket and says, about time Antifa is going to be charged with treason. I mean, for fuck's sake, this has gone on for far too long. Well, that part I agree. We've been advocating for them to be declared a terrorist organization since 2018. And that's been one of my biggest criticisms of Trump, is that he has not pulled the trigger on it or even pushed for it until half the country was on fire. It shouldn't have taken that long. You have to have the foresight, in my opinion, to understand not just what is a threat today, but what can be a threat 3 years from now. And I think that oftentimes whenever the United States government does not do that, somebody pays the piper. When it comes to, I mentioned it oddly enough with Vietnam, that Cambodia, if we pulled out, was going to happen. And what happens? The rise of Pol Pot. And it's similar in that sense of you have to be able to think 5 steps ahead. So, but then again, hindsight is 20/20. So,
yeah.
All right. Next topic, and yes, for those wondering, I did cut my hair. It was getting a little too long, so I'm back down to my normal buzz. I'm just wearing the hat today just to be confusing, but not to mention, I think this is a nice hat. I kind of like it. Mostly because of the cross on it. But, fuck it. I'm going to take it off, though. Anyway. So, we, apparently there is now the free state of George Floyd. In Minneapolis.
Why would you make a state of George Floyd?
I don't know. There's a Fina Till joke I could make, but I am above that.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because in all honesty, I don't want to mock the dead, because I still very much believe that what's his dumb shit is very much responsible for Floyd's death, mostly because of
Chauvin.
Yeah, Derek Chauvin, mostly because of stupidity.
Yeah.
And like I said,
yeah, he did not deserve to die. Just plain and simple.
Exactly. Derek Chauvin is a dumb cunt. And being a dumb cunt led to a man dying, so he needs to pay the piper. So, but anyway, all right, Leonardo Juan, you're gonna have to take a little break, bud. We'll see you in 5 minutes. We have a rule here on this channel of do not disrespect the dead.
Yeah.
And I feel the need to bring that up again.
Yeah, please do not.
Do not do that. I think that Will Geary in the chat puts it quite well. He says he didn't deserve to die, but he doesn't deserve to be praised either. That is the mature way to look at it.
There you go. Do not make a martyr out of him.
Yes. So, anyway, the, what we find ourselves with is the possibility of another Chaz, or Chop, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it's already causing problems. So this is from Fox News. Minneapolis Autonomous Zone blocked emergency response to assault, says victim's wife. We were captive here. It's like a block under siege. The owner of a Minneapolis auto repair shop said that she was violently attacked last month near a barricaded autonomous zone that is impeding authorities from responding to emergencies. The owner of Mill City Auto Body, who asked only to be identified by his first name, Dan, out of concerns for his safety, told Fox News that a man came from the so-called occupied zone, dubbed the Free State of George Floyd, and knocked him unconscious back on August 5th. So apparently this has been going on for a while. I didn't know this. And attempted to rob him. And, first responders could not get there quickly because they were being blocked off, and the area is apparently filled with blockades and shit. So, and this is, of course, part of the reason why the city of Seattle and the state of Washington is in the midst of a lawsuit from the father of the young man who was executed in Chop or Chaz or what the fuck ever. And that is, because when you create these autonomous zones, you basically say that if you are a government worker, you cannot come in here. That includes the EMTs.
Yep.
Chaos Sonic throws in a buck and says, if I remember correctly, the citizens are also shocked defunding the police causes increase in crimes. In other news, water is wet. Some people don't really seem to understand that there is there's this thing called a deterrent.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why Hatman and I encourage people to own firearms.
Yes.
It's not that we expect every single person out there to ever have to fight the government or even fend off somebody from your home. But it is a deterrent. If people in the neighborhood know you own a gun, there is less of a chance you will probably be robbed.
Yeah, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yes. But anyway, with the situation like this, the one thing that I find myself most surprised by is that people just aren't learning. You know?
Yeah.
Like, how many more people have to die for people to understand that trying to start an autonomous zone is a bad idea? Who else needs to croak? Who else needs to bite it? I would like an answer. Like, that's the one thing that I don't get when it comes to situations like this. Like, how many more people need to die for you to understand that this is stupid? And I've actually asked, like, actual communists that same question. Like, how many people have to fucking die before you realize that this is a bad idea?
Yeah.
And this is what gets me. And what really gets me is that the local government in Minneapolis is doing nothing to break this up.
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest about what this is. This is a danger to people in the city.
Yes, it is.
What we find is there is these places tend to be, you know, or at least become hives of scum and villainy rather quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever that happens,
Mos Eisley.
yeah, whenever that happens, people are going to get hurt. People are going to get hurt. They're going to get raped. They're going to get killed. And if you are an elected official or you are a civil servant, you have a duty to protect the lives of the citizens of whatever area you work in. Mm-hmm. That is what the tax dollars are there to pay you for.
Yep.
If you are, and that goes into the whole social contract thing. If we are going to pay you tax dollars, if we are going to have this, if we're going to have taxes be law, we need representation, and that representation needs to actually do shit.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys don't seem to understand that if you do not do this, people are just going to vote you out. Like, do you want Donald Trump? Because this is how you get Donald Trump. Because if you do nothing, and your inaction leads to this, and then Donald Trump comes out and says this is bullshit, they're gonna vote for him instead of your guy Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing how that works.
It is like galaxy brain shit, apparently. You know? Galaxy brain shit. Alright. Final topic for the day. Breonna Taylor. So this is actually we're gonna be talking about state malfeasance. Hatman and I think that we're pretty fair when it comes to topics.
Yeah.
We have our stances, but we understand that shit can go south.
Mm-hmm.
And Breonna Taylor is an exact, example. Kind of stumbling over my words today. She's a perfect example of a fault in the system that needs to be fixed. And that is no-knock warrants.
Yes.
For those who do not know what happened to Breonna Taylor, a no-knock warrant for someone, I believe it was her next-door neighbor.
It was someone else that was supposedly associated with her, like an ex-boyfriend or something.
Yeah, something like
that. Who lived like a few miles away.
Yeah. So they broke into her home and killed her.
Well, it was a no-knock warrant issued by plainclothes officers in an unmarked vehicle at what, 12:30 in the morning?
Yes.
It was after midnight at the very least. Nothing about that is right.
Yeah.
Like that's not how you do it.
That is the
And
sort of thing that keeps libertarians up at night.
yes, absolutely.
You know, the state having that much power. And I
Yep.
completely agree with them that the state should not have that much power. If a
Yep.
warrant is issued, if a police officer is going to come onto your property, they need to have probable cause.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, unless they have a warrant for your arrest, they should not get to enter the premises unless they are invited.
Exactly. There's a whole constitutional amendment for that shit.
Yes. And this is what the Constitution is there to stop. This is the sort of shit that the British officers would do to us Americans before the Revolutionary War.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What gets me worse than anything is the fact that they actually tried to charge her current boyfriend with attempted murder because he did what any other reasonable gun owner would do, thinking that somebody is breaking into their house in the middle of the night. He fired a shot at him, thinking that, of course, yeah, they're breaking into my house. And the whole reason why she was killed is because of that one shot. They fired, what, 20 times and killed her?
Yes.
And then tried to fucking cover it up. I mean, the first police report or incident report said that there were no injuries. Really?
Yeah.
Fucking really? So this is bad policing all around. And I've seen people say, well, no, her boyfriend was actually a drug dealer, or she was a drug dealer, and he shouldn't have shot at cops because they announced themselves. No, they fucking didn't.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. None of the witness statements have said that they did. They fucked up. They fucked up, and they tried to cover it up, and they tried to hang him because fucking God forbid that they have to acknowledge that they fucked up and wrongfully killed a woman. And thank God the charges against him were dropped. And now her family has been paid out $12 million for the wrongful death suit. And frankly, good. Fucking good. They should have paid up.
Yeah.
That was absolutely owed.
And those officers need to lose their badges.
Oh, absolutely they do.
If
Everyone who was involved in that fucking raid needs to face some kind of consequence because that is inexcusable.
If any of them are still on the force, they need to be off the force.
Absolutely.
Because, again, this is something that we've said before, and I think bears repeating, is that if you have 100 cops, and then and 2 of them are crooked, you have 2 crooked cops. If you have 100 cops, and you have 2 crooked cops, and you have 98 cops that will not hold the 2 crooked cops accountable, you have 100 crooked cops.
Mm-hmm.
That is the beginning and end of it. I actually agree with something that Brainbox is saying. Make police unions illegal. People who are hired by the state have no right to unionize. I completely agree.
Yes.
There have been too many instances where police unions have kept justice from being served. They are anti-justice.
Yep.
If you want to have a public sector union, that's perfectly fine. Private sector? No.
No.
I'm sorry.
That.
If you want to have a private sector union, that's fine. Public sector, no. Public sector, no.
Yeah.
Teachers unions, police unions, no. Get rid of all of them.
Yeah.
You know, these things, they fuck people over.
Exactly. I mean, the idea is not to protect the jobs of shitty officers. No. I understand the role that they play sometimes in like wrongful death suits and whatnot. That's fine. But more often than not, they end up protecting bad cops, bad police work. And it gives police a bad name. I'll just come out and say it.
Threaten the unions, the police will walk out, then we'll get people who'll do the fucking job. It's that simple. We've had some people asking questions before Q&A. We got 3 minutes until then. Q&A is a specific point of the show, so you gotta wait.
Yeah.
All right. But accountability is a necessity whenever it comes to the public sector.
Yes.
That sector is funded by tax dollars. And the accountability that it is supposed to have is to the citizen. And the fact of the matter is that Breonna Taylor's constitutional rights were violated.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I'm not against the concept of having some sort of greater accountability. I think that that's a debate worth having.
Absolutely.
What can be done to improve things?
Yes, much better than just abolish the police or defund the police. Like, no, fuck that. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. That sort of approach it never works.
Yeah, and again, like we've seen in Minneapolis so far, crime has skyrocketed, and city council's wondering, well, what the fuck can we do about it? I don't know. Maybe you did something to cause this.
Mm-hmm. We live in an odd time, and it's oddly enough, I think this all kind of ties back to the whole 1776 project. People need to understand what the Constitution is and why it's important. I think I tend to dislike certain terms politically. I call myself like a small L libertarian or a small C conservative. I think the one thing with me is I am a constitutional originalist. And whichever party goes closer to the Constitution is the one I will vote for. So when I look at a situation like this, what I see is not just disrespect for someone's right to life. It's disrespect for the document that makes sure that we are supposed to be respecting it.
Absolutely.
And if you are a police officer or a member of the armed forces or anything along those lines, if you are a public servant, that is the one thing you need to be considering, is the constitutional rights of everyone that you serve. If you can't do that, you're not worth anything. Chaos Athletic throws in a buck and says, I was never into defending the police, but I do think we need police reform to get rid of corrupt cops. Couldn't say it better myself. Alright, speaking of the Q&A, now's the time for it. So if you had questions earlier and I told you to wait, now is your time. So, but first, we do allow our patrons to have first go. So you can get access to Patreon. It is in the description. And we do the patrons Discord is actually where we have those questions put. We have politics sections and entertainment sections for each podcast. So, let's get running through these. So first, Alistair wants to know, I think he was the one who had the first question. Yes. In your opinion, what should the Republican Party's game plan after Donald Trump be? Because as great as Trump is, it seems like the Republicans don't have any long-term plans that don't involve him. I would say back to basics.
Yeah.
Constitutional originalism, like I just said. That needs to be the focus. We need to get back to the basics of what funded this country. Or founded this country. Goodness, I can't word today. So,
yeah,
that is my thoughts.
I would go a little bit further and I would say it's time to drop a lot of the social conservatism too. Like it's time to drop out of the whole marriages between one man and one woman thing. Just quit that altogether. You're going to lose votes that way. You are absolutely going to just focus on not so much civic nationalism, but patriotism, and maybe they're one and the same, as Aiden likes to say.
Mm-hmm.
But there definitely needs to be a focus on constitutional originalism, individual liberties, and of course, the ever popular fiscal conservatism.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with that, and I think those three cores would do fine on any given week.
There you go. King Bean wants to know: would you say that the American spirit / patriotism is at an all-time low? With all the bad shit happening around us and believe America is evil as ever spreading, I believe it is. No, because the all-time low would be the Civil War.
Well, it depends on who you ask, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you ask the Doomers, and they're going to say, "Yeah, absolutely, it's at an all-time low." But
yeah, but fuck them.
yeah, Civil War. Yeah, Civil War would definitely be the all-time low point. But then again, there are people thinking that we're barreling headfirst towards another Civil War, and I don't know, maybe, but I don't think that means that patriotism is at all-time low. In fact, it seems quite the opposite to me. It just depends on where you stand on the political spectrum. I mean, the right certainly seems extremely patriotic.
Yeah.
Certainly believes in the American dream and the American spirit. The left is like the total opposite. So it seems like optimism versus pessimism more than anything else.
Yep. That's a good way to put it. Okay. Not the last one asks. Oh wait, sorry. Changus was before him. Changus asks, what are your thoughts on the rumors that if Trump wins by a landslide, the Dems will demand a recount and replace most of the votes with fraud vote by mail stuff? All right, well, that's getting a little tinfoil hat. I do think they will ask for a recount if Trump wins.
Mm-hmm.
That we're gonna see that. It's gonna be George Bush versus Al Gore all over again.
I am more worried that it's going to turn into states not certifying election results.
Mm.
And if that happens, then electoral college is useless, and then you got to go straight down the 12th Amendment, which is Senate elects the vice president, House elects the president. And that is going to be a shit show.
Yeah.
But we'll see. That's worst case scenario, I think.
Yeah. But anyway, not the last one asked, is there a chance for civil unrest in our country to be eased sometime soon? And if so, what would be the catalyst? I think that a lot of it has to do with the foundations of, what the left believes kind of getting their asses handed to them. I think that this 1776 project is part of it. If it goes through and everything like that, it is going to hurt them something fierce. There's a reason that you're going to see a bunch of think pieces within the next few days that are saying why it's fascism or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Imperialism. They'll use imperialism. No.
Yeah. So, that is inevitably what it's going to have to be. Is that there is one thing that we have said before is there is an intellectual civil war.
Oh yeah.
That is going on, and that is going to have to be a war that ends before anything is going to change. And that is a war that has to be won. So. Demos says, thoughts on Kuwait backpedaling and considering supporting Israel? Do you think their reasoning is them remembering when the Palestinians backstabbed them when Saddam invaded? I think that a lot of countries in the Middle East are just seeing which way the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
And like we called it when Trump basically has done everything with Israel that he has done. He has taken everything off the bargaining table. All the stuff that was like a half measure, he said, fuck it, it's Israel's now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't have it. and if you fuck with them, you're going to be in trouble. And it worked. And these Arab nations are starting to realize, okay, we do not want to make enemies of the United States.
Yeah.
And we don't like the Iranians either. And the Iranians are the ones who are backing the Palestinians. So, they just see which way the wind is blowing. They understand that if they want peace and they don't want us to fuck with them, they're going to have to be peaceful with Israel. So.
Yeah.
Servant wants to know, given the leaks out of Nashville regarding COVID numbers, mainly that they lied about them in places, odds on others doing it to try to own Trump, even though it keeps backfiring. Well, we've already seen it so much. Like more people, like more of it coming forward isn't really going to surprise anyone. When it comes right down to it, the desperation to own Trump is something that it has become like incomprehensible. Not to mention, and the one thing I talked about this morning when I wrote my article for RT is that political discourse is at an all-time low. We have people like hunting out dog poop and putting it in Trump supporters' mailboxes in Maine. And then some other dude pinching one out on Nancy Pelosi's driveway. Really?
Why? What the hell?
That's where we're at right now. Really? So, I don't know, man. We are at an all-time low, and I don't think that I don't see it changing in the near future until people start realizing that the things that they disagree with their neighbor on are so minute that it's not worth getting upset over.
Yep, pretty much.
All right, chat. What do you guys got for us? Leonardo Juan says, thoughts on the Drudge Report being anti-Trump? I think that Matt Drudge needs to get over himself.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Miguel Barrera wants to know, do you think millennials and Gen Xers are too willing to give up their liberties for the sake of security? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I would agree with that completely.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's see here. Eric Cartman of the Borg says, how about we get the government out of marriage? Agreed!
Yes!
The government has no business in it.
Yes.
Why do you need the government to declare what you do in your house? Why do you want them there? Don't give me this Edmund Burke shit. Burke was wrong. Like, you can believe about whatever you want. That's part of the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
But just because you believe it does not mean that you have the right to impose it on other people. You are not a conquistador.
Mm-hmm.
The conquistadors were a bad idea. Do not be that. Let me just put this in people's heads. This is something that people really need to realize. Do you want to know why the right lost the culture war so badly? It was over gay marriage.
Yep.
People being like Doug TenNapel is what saw so many people shift to the left during the Bush years.
Mm-hmm.
So I would ask you in the chat, you want to hang around Doug TenNapel? No? Well, you're starting to see my point, because he's the reason we lost, and he's guys like him are the reason we ended up getting Barack Obama. Everything is a response. Barack Obama was a response to George Bush. George W. Bush was a response to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was a response to George H.W. Bush. You know?
And Trump was a response to Obama.
Exactly. So if you want to repeat the cycle, what you're going to invite in could end up being the first communist president. You know, people we've been saying that like constantly. You want Trump? How this is how you get Trump? You want another Obama? This is how you get another Obama. That is a losing battle. If the government does not have a place in how you do anything in your home, part of that is including who you have sex with, and who you allow to live in your home. That is your property. You know, as a libertarian I know once said, property rights, motherfucker. So, did the chat stop chatting, or is my YouTube being fucky?
Sure.
I'm gonna refresh the thing.
No, chat's still going.
Okay, it just locked up on my end. We have 71 people here. We only have 26 likes. What the hell's going on, Steve?
God damn it, Steve!
Get on that, guys.
Melee Brawler has an important question. Says, I just got an application to request an absentee ballot. Is this just an ordinary absentee request form, or is this part of the whole mail-in ballot thing?
So I got that too from my state.
It is part of an absentee ballot.
Well, it says here in Illinois. It actually says, and I'll read it real quick. This does not have my address on it, so I'm not worried about showing it. I live in Bloomington, Illinois. That's not like news. So
yeah.
Oh no, I've doxed the Bloomington Election Commission. But this is what I have been sent, and on the inside, what it says is completely fill out the vote by mail ballot application and sign the application. Your vote by mail ballot application can be returned to one of the following methods. So basically, I can fill this out and then drop it off at the or do a application online. So. What's kind of funny is like they don't tell you the website to go to. They put on here a bit.ly link for you to click. I'm like, it's printed paper. I can't. Guys, I'm clicking the paper. And it's not going to the website. What's going on? Fucking idiots. So.
What do you expect?
That's all it is. Okay, Creeping Pence wants to know, don't know much about Nick Fuentes. How exactly is he racist other than criticizing Israel? Criticizing Israel isn't anti-Semitic in and of itself. I would agree that criticizing Israel is not anti-Semitic. But when he is, calling people race traitors for calling out a white shooter, and in fact, I believe what he called Matt Walsh was a Shabbos Goy race traitor.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah. And other such denigrating remarks about Jews. Yeah, he's an anti-Semite. Like he blames Jews for a ton of problems. You see how many videos he does on the tribe. He is obsessed with hating Jews for reasons I still do not understand. I don't know what. Apparently, so just to give you some. I gotta hit the fucking button. What am I doing? So, because we're getting into Jew territory, so here we go. Jew! And oh no! So just to tell you the tale. So I am half Jewish myself. So he's also a Holocaust denier. There's that too. But so I got together at the offices of Jew, and after calling on my Jew phone to make sure that they could pick me up in a limo, and I actually I don't drink coffee usually, but I shared coffee with a guy from the Illuminati offices. They're just across the hallway. They're great guys. We talked about what we're going to do with the weather next week, if we're going to extend COVID, stuff like that. But anyway, I'm kidding. But that's the shit he believes in!
You're kidding, but Fuentes isn't.
No! But yeah, the he says the cookie thing is a joke. No, that ain't that. No, like the whole. So Hatman here has been on the Chan boards for a long time.
Oh yes.
The cookie thing is Holocaust denial.
Yeah.
It always has been.
See, that's the thing. Everyone likes to say, well, poll is just a joke.
No.
It was just a joke. It was.
Yeah, and then
it's not anymore.
The Spurgs took it over.
It's not.
A lot like the Spurgs took it over like 4 years ago. Like it's bad. It's like let's keep something in mind here. You know the whole go to Ben Shapiro's like speeches and ask stupid questions like that op that started on poll. So yeah, it's not like if it's a joke, it's a pretty bad one, you know.
Yeah, to say the damn least, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he fucking hates we Jews. And for reasons I don't understand. He seems to blame us for all the problems in the world. So. Oh, I forgot about the lizard people. How are they doing? Shh.
Oh, God.
You're not supposed to know. All I can say is they're just misunderstood. We have fun here. Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Somebody get Alex Jones on the line.
Oh. But what do I
Lizard people are not misunderstood.
I have to hit the button again. Jesus Christ. House Cthulhu? We're not on speaking terms. Serena donates $1 and says, Fuentes does the exact thing I see the pro-blacks do to white people. They're hyper-obsessed with white people to the point of believing that every single white person is some secret racist that plots to oppress them. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, it's the same shit.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, that's the sort of shit that like and I think it was what is Creeping Pence, he said now, I'm sorry, buddy. You only get one question per podcast. So we got to keep that rule. Yeah. But so hold on to the terrorist designation for next week, because that it will probably still be relevant. But that's sort of like the weird thing about the internet is like some crazy fucking people exist with some crazy fucking ideas. But like when I first found out that I am half Jewish, ethnically, you know, because like I still have the cross tattooed on my arm. Like I'm a practicing Christian, but you're good, Creeping Pence. It's all good, buddy. We don't. It's not like we have the rules posted anywhere. That's my fault.
Yeah.
But when I first like said something about it on Twitter, there were people who don't like me. Like the first thing that they said was, "I knew it." Like, so all of my opinions are because Jew? Okay, bud. Okay, crazy people.
You're going to have to hit the button again, aren't you?
Nah. I think 2's enough. So
2's enough, okay.
Anyway, before we take off, if you have a question that you did not... we did not answer a question, and we missed you, and you're in the chat. I think Brainbox is here this week.
Yep.
Brain, make yourself be known. So
yep.
that
remember, if you had a question answered, you don't get another one.
Yeah.
You don't get an overflow too.
Yeah. Exactly.
We used to do that, but not anymore.
Yeah, we can't.
No, got to be too complicated.
So if Brainbox is not here, Hatman will pick him up. And we'll get the overflow. Okay, so Brain is here.
Brainbox is here.
So
Brain's
tag
here.
him with unanswered
I have the week
questions.
Off.
And we will get those answered hopefully this week. And And yeah, it will be fun times. So, all right, Hatman, any final words before we take off and get the entertainment podcast set up?
Yep, I'm just about out of mixed nuts, and that makes me sad.
That is sad. All right, folks, we're gonna go get the entertainment podcast set up. We've got some. I got some giant robot stuff to talk about, so it will be fun to say the least.
I got a crappy '90s movie to talk about.
Indeed. So we'll be back. Give us about 15 minutes or so, and we will have some fun. And all right, I will go ahead and answer. The Super Secret stream is a Gunpla stream. So.
Oh, Gunpla.
If you want to make that happen, down below. So we'll be back in a bit. Until then, my name is Micah Curtis.
And I'm Alex Baldwin, and I'm okay with building giant robots.
Indeed. We'll see you guys here in about 15. Dave's fault.
Dave's fault.